I think he's the first one on this list. I'd clearly say wide receiver 2 in my eyes, personally at least. Got Reed.
Yay, another Packer receiver. I love so much to talk about the Packers. You know what? Reed played 16 games last year. He had 64 receptions for almost 800 yards. It was like 93.
Yep.
8 touchdowns. Again, he's in this loaded offense. It's hard to argue that the Packers to me might have the best overall wide receiver room for sure. So I definitely think that, and he might have sat out the last game because they made the playoffs last year. I'm not sure, but, or did he miss one game? He missed one game. Yeah. So, but I definitely, I like Jayden Reed. I definitely think he's, out of all the receivers on the Packers, to me, he probably is the one.
I think he's the most talented.
Well, I think he's probably the one that is the closest to being a wide receiver too.
Oh, that's fair.
Just because I think that he's only gonna go up. This guy's got a tremendous amount of talent. I definitely think that he could break the top 30. But I think the reason why he ended up where he did right now is they just spread the ball around so much. So, but he could break off for 10 or 12 touchdowns, and that could put him into the top 30 for sure. So I think he's definitely got an arrow going up. As much as I hate to say it and trying to be objective here, even though he's a Packer, I do like the Packer wide receiving core for fantasy.
Yeah, for me, it's I don't know if I could put any Packer right now at my wide receiver 2, just with the uncertainties of who's the guy in that offense. I think of the 3 Packers we have on the board, I think they're all flex options. You can even make an argument for Wicks possibly too. It's just hard to judge because Love gets the ball to all of his receivers, and at any given moment, any one of these guys could pop off. For me, I think it's safer to play them as a flex, just because you never know what you're going to get from them.
I think it all depends on who you have on your team too. So.
Well, that as well. Zay Flowers.
Well, Zay Flowers is definitely the best receiver on the Ravens team, for sure. I definitely think we have him right where he should be. With Mark Andrews coming back this year, it's always hard to judge, where Lamar is going to, throw his targets. Although Zay did get targeted over 100 times last year, had 77 receptions for 858 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think he could be right around that again. I think Mark Andrews being back is only going to help Zay Flowers in the long run because they're gonna have to account for Andrews over the middle. I know Rashad Bateman's had a really good training camp from what I've heard, and he's looked strong this year. If Bateman's out there, I think that's going to also open it up for Flowers. I like this guy. I think he's got a tremendous amount of talent, and I think he's only going to go up. I definitely think he is right on the brink of the top 30, could break the top 30 for sure. Given the fact that he's got that breakaway speed and the amount of targets and stuff like that. I think he's borderline low end RB2 / flex option, depending on your situation on your team. But he's definitely going to be in your starting lineup for sure, unless you've got an unbelievable team or other players above him, because he just has the potential every single game to break off for a touchdown.
I think that's enough said. I don't got much to add on there. Lad McConkey.
Yeah, so Lad's another one of these rookies. Again, this is a really a strong rookie class. I think that he's definitely him and Josh Palmer are going to be the guys. I think on the receiving side of the end, but I definitely think McConkey's going to probably end up, even as the year goes on, he's going to be the guy. That's just my opinion. I think that the Chargers really like this guy. I think Herbert's going to like him as well. So I think that he has the potential to definitely break the top 30. He's right there. Very low end wide receiver 2, but I would probably say more so a flex to start off the season with the potential of moving up to wide receiver 2 once we see exactly what Harbaugh and his offense are going to do. But I'm high on this guy. I think he's another one of these rookie receivers that he might start off a little bit slow. That's why you might want to look at him as a flex. But I definitely think that having Herbert as his quarterback is only a plus. So I think that that's going to make him even stronger. I really think that he's going to have one of the better rookie years.
And I think he could be a borderline wide receiver too once like the mid-season to the later half of the year
Absolutely
hits around. And he's 6 foot, so not the tallest, but I think he'll still probably be that red zone guy there for the team because Josh Palmer's not tall either. Maybe Brendan Rice a little bit. I think I was going to say 6'4" there, but he's 6'3", and then you also have DJ Chark, who could probably be a red zone threat there, but I definitely think he'll get the bulk of the load. And looking at Herbert's history, they're not going to throw the ball as much, but once he finds his receiver, he finds his flipping receivers. Like, just look at Keenan Allen over the years. Even Mike Williams, when he was healthy, he will find his receivers the ball. Malik Nabers.
Yeah, you know what? You could make an argument that Nabers is actually the best receiver in this rookie class. There's some people that actually said that had him ranked higher than Harrison. So I think the Giants snabbing him was really smart. I know that if you watched the draft, you could, and when you first got there, he wasn't very excited about it. But this guy is a tremendous talent. I definitely think he's going to be in the top 30 for sure. I think he's going to have a big year. I really do. Even with Danny Dimes throwing to him, they're going to pump the ball his way, and I think it's going to be hard. I think he's going to open it up for Wendell Robinson and Slayton as well. But I do think that Nabers has the potential this year to actually be the top rookie receiver. I can see him having a better year over Harrison. The only thing that Harrison's got going for him is I give Murray a little bit of an advantage over Daniel Jones from a quarterback perspective, but I definitely think Nabers is going to have a good year. He did get a little tweaked in practice today, but they said it wasn't anything serious. It was a minor ankle injury, a minor sprain. Nothing big though. So I don't think I think he'll be fine. So I'm not worried about it. He's definitely for me, you got to draft him, and he's definitely a flex for sure. But given the fact that he's one of the highest rated rookies this year, you can make an argument that you should stick him in there as your RB2.
Wide receiver 2.
Yeah. Or wide receiver 2. Sorry.
No, yeah, I agree with you. And like we talked about earlier, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot this year. I don't think their run game's going to be good at all. And they're going to be playing from behind. Their schedule is a really tough schedule. With the exception of Minnesota right away with our defense being terrible. But you have Washington as a divisional match, and then Cleveland, Dallas. Yeah, you don't have an easy schedule at all. There's a lot of good defenses in this mix, so...
I will say this: the first game against Minnesota's cornerbacks are a mess right now. it wouldn't surprise me if he has a breakout game against Minnesota, especially being at home. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm high on him.
The only thing I will say though, if this meeting with Stephon Gilmore goes good with the Vikings, it might not be as great as we all think, because that will give Gilmore enough time to catch up, and he'll probably be locking up on Nabers.
Yeah, we'll see.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, so I think we got Cooper right where he needs to be. I think the reason, I had him ranked just a little bit higher than Wiggs, but I can see where Wiggs had him at 31. I think he's right on the cusp of he's definitely, right on the cusp of the top 30 with the potential to make the top 20. I think it really all depends on, what's Deshaun Watson going to look like this year. Last year, Cooper had 72 receptions for 1,209, was it 90 yards or 50 yards?
1,250, yeah.
And then he had 5 touchdowns. I could see him potentially repeating that. The reason I ranked him a little bit lower is that I really want to see a little bit more consistency out of Watson. Watson wasn't very consistent last year. So, if Watson comes out and has a consistent year and gets back to his old form, I definitely could see Cooper potentially breaking the top 20 for sure. I view Cooper as a solid wide receiver too, for sure. Uh, um, you know, I don't know that I would push him any higher than that right now until we see where he ends up, but I definitely would consider him a solid wide receiver too, right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and it just kind of really depends on how Watson plays. Looking at the numbers from last year, the 2 games that stick out to me the most are the 2 with Flacco before he was out the last 2 games of the year, where he put up like 400 yards in the span of 2 games, just because Flacco threw him the ball, or threw the ball his way 15 times. He caught it 11 times for 265 in one of the games, and then he was over 100 in the other. You look at the rest of the year with Watson, he only had 3 games. Maybe you can round up the 98 to 4 there, where he had 100 yards in a game. And a lot of his touchdown production game with Flacco. So at the end of the day, I really think it comes down to how Deshaun Watson utilizes Cooper. He's a frustrating one. He kind of reminds me of Tyler Lockett, where you kind of have to rely on him getting a touchdown. And I know I've had Cooper in a lot of my fantasy leagues over the year, and him and Lockett are the 2 most annoying guys on my team to ever start, because when you start them, they don't always get the touchdown or get the yards or receptions. But then when you bench them, then they pop off, and it's just kind of one of those annoying players to have on the team sometimes, at least for me personally. But he's got a lot of upside. Yeah, he's 30, but he's shown each and every year that he's targeted 130 times, 120 plus, and he doesn't miss a whole lot of games. It's just here and there, like 1 or 2 games.
Right.
Yep. He hasn't had any serious injury where it's kept him out for more than 3. Not even. I think it's just more than 2.
Yeah. So